Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to this very special podcast. I have Vijay Sinha with us, and he is a professional cosplayer, and he's going to be talking about the cosplay scene in India and basically what is cosplay. A lot of you guys have been already talking about it in Discord. You guys are like, "Hey, what's cosplay? What is this? What is that?" So we're going to answer all those questions. We're going to talk about the costumes. We're going to talk about the gaming aspect of cosplay. So, if you're a gamer, this is very, very relevant to you. So, don't go anywhere. And yes, of course, we will be playing PUBG Mobile at 6 p.m. Don't worry about that. Can we please keep the PUBG Mobile chatter to like a down low right now? All right. So, Vijay, thank you so much for like taking the opportunity to do this. Like, seriously, it means a lot. I've been trying to get a lot of cosplayers to do this, and you found the time, so thank you. So tell me
Hey, no
about
problem.
yeah, tell me about yourself and
Oh, sure.
cosplaying. Yeah.
Uh, so, uh, my real name is Vijay Sinha. I don't really have a cosplay name. It's Vijay Sinha Cosplay.
Okay.
I am a 32-year-old male living in Bangalore right now. I've been in Bangalore for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been cosplaying also for the last 5 years. I am married. I'm living with my brother, and I am with my dog as well.
Okay.
Professionally, I work as a game designer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently freelancing for a studio here. It's called Holy Cow Productions. You can check out one of their games on Steam. It's called Zenith. And I've been working in games for the last 10 years now.
Okay.
I just started off as a college dropout. But I'm like, as much as I love cosplay,
Yeah.
I'm all about games. Some of my all-time like favorite games, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Final Fantasy, Overwatch is just it's a lot. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you were asking earlier, or rather, we were talking about like what is cosplay. I think like the most basic sense you can get from it is it's just the idea of dressing up as your favorite character, and it could be from anything. It could be from films, it could be from books, it could be from video games. And you see a lot of this common trend in like not just in Japan but all over the world actually. And cosplaying is a great experience for me because I'm mostly into gaming, but getting to cosplay as a gaming character is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And B, seeing other people cosplaying from my favorite games,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite movies, my favorite comics is also like a very nice, fulfilling experience. So I've enjoyed myself, and I have a lot to thank for from like the cosplay community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's helped me like introduce like a bunch of people out there. Like I don't think we would have met, if it wasn't for cosplay. If
Mm-hmm.
you think about it.
So, how when did cosplaying actually start in India? Because I did remember like when I was in college in Delhi, the first I think cosplay event was some Japan festival or something like that. But no, it was an anime. It was a manga festival, and it was
Okay.
back in 2006. So
Okay.
it's a really long time back, and then shortly afterwards, I think the first Delhi Comic Con happened, and
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people dressed up.
2011, I think.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah, I went for the first Delhi Comic Con, the first ever Comic Con
Oh,
in
nice.
India. Yeah, it was pretty
Nice,
cool,
nice.
and then I saw people had dressed up, and it was all like not a lot of people, not like the most recent Delhi Comic Con. Did you go for that? The one which was
Yep, I was there.
you were there? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was cosplaying at the Manga Planet India stall with Neha. I don't know if you guys saw
I
us.
saw Niha, and but I don't know Niha, so I didn't go up to her and
That's
say
okay.
hi, you know. But yeah, I think I might have seen you. You because you're were you the Golden Age of Decadence, that character Baudelaire?
Yeah, I was that guy.
Yeah. Okay, then I definitely did see you. Yeah, yeah.
So,
I
which is another great thing about cosplay.
I Yeah, so I went as I actually cosplayed for that. I went as a Division agent. I just wore the jacket
What?
and
Really?
yeah. You know the game, the
Holy
Division.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
So
Shit,
like
man. We should
my girlfriend like
photo.
stitched like the Division agency, the logo, and all that.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
we spoiled a
Did a lot of people like recognize you, or did they ask you where you're from?
Nobody recognized me. They were
Oh
because I look
man.
like a regular guy in a brown jacket and a hoodie, right? So they were just like
Okay, okay.
they would.
Well, it was cold in Delhi, so I think it
Yeah,
worked out for you.
yeah, yeah. So
But
yeah. Sorry.
No, you sorry, to answer your earlier question, I don't know, at least as far as I know, I don't know how long back cosplay is like started in India, but it definitely around the time of like Delhi Comic Con 2011. It was starting to like gain more prominence. A lot more events were coming up. Especially in the last 2 to 3 years, we've had a lot more events with cosplay, and then of course social media has helped a lot of cosplayers interact with each other and post their works and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, honestly, I would say, especially when you compare when we are started out, and you would know this as well because you were at the first Delhi Comic Con. Cosplay in India has grown at an insane amount.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Uh, in terms of, I'm not even just talking about like purely skill. I'm just talking in terms of numbers. It's just insane, like how many more people are interested or getting into the idea of cosplaying. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which are the cities in India which have been doing cosplay like really seriously, according to you?
I think the most prominent ones are the ones that Comic Con has a city in. So it's definitely Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Mumbai. But then if you look outside that, if you look at some northeast places like Mizoram or Nagaland, they have
Nagaland,
an
yeah.
entirely separate
Mm-hmm.
cosplay culture, and it's quite insane. A lot more anime and Japanese based
Mm-hmm.
cosplays that they have there.
Mm-hmm.
But they have their own events like 1 or 2 times a year. Mizoram has this huge cosplay fest that they have at towards the end of the year, and I think they get close to like 300, 400 participants in like a day. So it's pretty cool.
300 participants. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I saw the Nagaland video which you sent me, and the quality of cosplay in the Northeast, I think, is some other level. Like they're really
It's
creative.
it's
The
it's pretty
detail.
crazy. I don't know, like so I the trend that you normally see especially in India is a lot more people generally go for like armor based cosplays,
Mm-hmm.
EVA foam and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So not too much stitching cosplay, but then if you see a Nagaland or just anywhere in general Northeast, it's like they got some really good costume work done there. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressive.
Yeah. I think the most famous armor based costume guy was the guy who did the first Iron Man suit, right? I'm forgetting his name.
Which guy? Sorry.
He did Iron Man. He's known for Iron Man. I'm forgetting his. I don't know
I
his
know several
name.
people like
Oh,
that.
God.
I mean, one of them is Ankit Singh.
All right.
There are other cosplayers that I know. Armor Smith cosplays.
Okay.
Nadir. I'm forgetting this other Iron
Who
Man
who did you,
cosplayer.
who did your wife's Crusader cosplay, which we're seeing on screen right now?
So the base armor was entirely done by our friend Ankit, but
Okay.
all the detailing, all the painting that you see on the cosplay is entirely my wife's work.
Oh wow. So that's like some serious like texture work. I was a texture artist, so like I can tell that was some good. That's some detail. So
So my
how.
wife is actually a fine art student. So
Oh, that makes a lot more sense. All right. Hmm. So how do you like get into cosplaying? Like as a noob, as somebody who's outside cosplaying, how do I get started with this hobby if I have a mild interest?
so it I guess it depends on several things. It really boils down to like what do you want to cosplay as?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time people ask me oh, which character should I do? And I generally tell them that do the character you want to do, that's closest to you. And, depending on the difficulty of that character, like if you want to do like a heavy armor based cosplay,
Mm-hmm.
there are a ton of cosplay tutorial videos that are available online and books from cosplayer, international cosplayers like Kamui Cosplay, who just like recently posted up her latest video. She did a really nice Monster Hunter
Oh,
cosplay.
okay.
She's a big fan of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But just like in general, you'll find like a lot of tutorials on YouTube, on Pinterest, and then specifically just in the Indian community, you have Indian cosplay community.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to figure out where to get material, for example, where do I get EVA foam in Bangalore, or where do I get like paints and stuff like that? If I want to get acrylic paints, where do I get fabric? So communities like ICC definitely help a lot in
Mm-hmm.
that regard. You also have access to other places that you normally wouldn't consider,
Mm-hmm.
but you have places like local party stores and stuff like that. The good thing about cosplay is that you could pretty much ad hoc anything you want. You
Mm-hmm.
could sort of just kind of like leverage whatever is around you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a store dedicated to just cosplay or even selling material. It's up to your imagination. How do you want to come up as a character? It could be something as simple as Han Solo. When you
Yeah.
just, even if you just take the character, you size it up and then you just break it down. It's essentially
Jacket.
a black jacket, exactly, a white shirt, and he has a blaster, but you can probably find a blaster. You could probably pick one up from a local toy store. You could paint it black. A lot of people have asked me how can I make really cool cosplay guns? Why don't you can take any of the Nerf guns, and check for paint mods on Google or YouTube, and there are some like insane quality paint mods
There's this guy who does it
that you
really
can
well,
find.
right? That the
Yeah,
guy who customizes Nerf guns.
I
He
don't know. I don't know any
Mythbusters.
specific.
He's the guy from Mythbusters.
Okay, yeah. Right.
Like
Oh my God, he's a cosplay fanatic, man.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I I really like his videos on cosplay as well.
He took a Nerf
Their
gun.
arts,
He took like a 50
yeah,
cal Nerf gun and he turned it into this gun from Destiny. Okay,
yeah.
holy
That's
shit,
that's
man! It was
that's like your
insane.
default go-to for any sci-fi weapons from Destiny, Mass Effect, or Halo. Just check for Nerf guns. They probably got you covered.
Yeah.
And then there's sorry, going back to resources and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's like arts and craft stores. We have something in Bangalore called Itsy Bitsy. I don't know if it's available
Okay.
in other places. And then if you feel like that, I think I can just probably get it done by somebody else, which is what I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
I get a commission from one of the other cosplayers, which they do as like a side profession.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get full cosplays commission from my friends. We were talking earlier before the stream. This guy from Bombay,
Mm-hmm.
Surya. So he also did the props for this gaming lounge launch last year, Arc Nemesis, and
Okay.
the amount of detail and dedication that he puts into it is amazing. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a new Overwatch cosplay done by my friend Ankit, and he's in Bangalore. He's actually from Jaipur.
Okay.
I might have shared a video with you about him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also like heavy into like working on armor cosplays and stuff like that. And then if you don't want to do armor cosplays, that's also completely fine.
Yeah.
Any clothing
Because
based cosplays.
I think armor cosplay is a lot more of an investment, in
Oh,
time
definitely.
and like if something happens during on the floor during the cosplay during Comic Con, then how do you repair that stuff, right? You need to have some basic knowledge of like how to stick foam together, right? Or
So thankfully, especially if you're in the community and if people know you or if you have friends, then there are people there who will help you, who
Mhm.
generally want to if any like problems that you have at an event, say like Comic Con.
Mhm.
So they have actually volunteers just dedicated to helping cosplayers if you're like
Wow.
facing any sort of problems
Okay.
with that. They have a cosplay medic as well, who also offers repairs like just on site. He'll do everything there. So if any of your pieces are just like falling out, he'll have like a hot glue gun and just like do
I've
you up.
seen that guy, the guy in the armor, right, with the cosplay medic, and he has all
Yeah,
that.
cosplay medic. Yeah, cosplay RJ. So
Yeah, that's pretty
I
cool.
don't know if he's doing it this year, but
Hmm.
most likely he will. He's been doing it for a while now.
What's his name?
And cosplayer RJ.
Cosplay RJ. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
Basically, we just call him the cosplay medic.
Hmm.
But apart from that, there's also you could purchase costumes online as well. So
Hmm.
if you want, you can check AliExpress.
Hmm.
AliExpress has a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There are sites just dedicated to selling cosplays, make costumes. So my Roy Mustang cosplay,
Hmm.
I was debating whether should I get stitched in India or not because I do have tailors in Bangalore.
Hmm.
I decided to go order it from Mick Cosplays. This was sorry, Mick Costumes. So this was my first time
Hmm.
ordering from them. And it was a good experience. A little loose, but I was happy with the quality,
Hmm.
and the fact they just delivered it in like a couple of like weeks without any major headaches. Was it expensive? Yes,
How much?
but
How much, if you don't mind me asking?
sure. It was about I think with the wig, it was about 5 to 6 thousand.
Hmm.
But then you have to account for shipping. So generally speaking, a lot of these international sites
Hmm.
are charged extra for shipping. That could drive up the cost for another 1,000 rupees.
Okay, that's not
I
too
think
bad. I mean,
it's not too bad if it's a
yeah.
so if it's a cosplay you're gonna use like for a while, like for the
Yeah.
rest of the year. Like I most likely will probably wear Mustang again
Hmm.
at one of the Comic Cons. So that's something that I have available for me. But for most people who just like maybe cosplay once a year at their like respective cities, Comic Con or something like that, then maybe it's not as viable. But there are other options you could consider. My friend Tanya, she has a costume, actually mostly a wig rental page. It's
Okay.
called Searing's Cosplay and Supplies. She also has some costume items and accessories available for rent as well. I think she has stuff from
Is it
which
ethical though
series?
to like buy a costume and take part in a competition? Is
Oh,
that
definitely. There's no like.
is it?
So a lot of people feel discouraged because that oh, I didn't make the cosplay, so how can I call myself a cosplayer or something like that? Like it's
Yeah,
completely fine, because at the end of the day, cosplay is what you make of it.
yeah.
Cosplay is if it makes you happy, to dress up as your character and role play as them, then that's completely fine.
No,
You know.
the reason I'm asking this is because like, 40K prize money, like that's insane, right?
Oh, okay. You're
Yeah.
you're saying like in respect to like competitions and stuff like
Competitions,
that.
yeah.
Okay, so in those cases, generally the judges would have some knowledge as to how they made the costumes.
Okay.
So there's a clear difference between somebody who buys a costume off AliExpress and then someone who actually makes it. You won't find a Crusader cosplay, for example, on AliExpress or make costumes. It's just not possible. And if it's a matter of somebody else working on that cosplay, like you pay for someone else to work on that cosplay and then you participate in that competition, I think generally they allow some leeway, but I don't, to be honest, I don't know to what extent the judging process really reflects on that. But generally speaking, it's not discouraged per se.
Yeah,
But
I mean, you're still helping the scene, especially if it's a local
sure,
craftsman who's making it for you.
sure. It's at the end of the day, it's two artists collaborating together. I personally speaking, and this is just my experience in general. Cosplay is a collaboration. I don't do everything by myself. I don't do my own makeup. I don't do all of my wig styling. I don't do all of my costume work. I don't do my own photography. I don't do my own image editing. So at the end of the day, when you see one picture of Mustang and you see it edited, that's you don't realize like six people were involved with that picture. So and I'm fine with that. I honestly I have no shame in admitting that there are a lot more people who are way more talented than I will ever be. But I'm doing it because I'm enjoying it, and a lot of people enjoy watching me do it.
So, have you reached a stage where cosplaying is sort of like paying for itself? We talked about this on the phone. Like, I'm gaming because now gaming's become like a career for me. Like I'm like pays for
Right.
itself. So can that happen with cosplaying, or
It's
is it gonna take a while?
I think the short version of it is it will take a while. And I say that because I still feel cosplay is very young. At least with gaming, I feel a lot more people know about gaming than they do about cosplay, for example.
Yeah.
For me, it's a bit of a subgenre. That derives from a lot of what we do. We watch movies, we listen to music, we play games and read comics and stuff like that. But if we had to like look at it from professional view, so I actually left my job last January, and I was like pretty much unemployed for like 6 months.
Okay.
So I basically took it upon myself to try and see if I can do something with cosplay and try to see if I can, you know, maybe not make it my like full-time professional career, but try to make a little money on the side to like support myself. So I done a couple of things. I hosted a couple of events. I was the cosplay mascot last year for Manga Planet India's booth that they had in Bombay and for Delhi Comic Con. Art Nemesis launch, I was
Chennai.
invited as the cosplay guest, and in Chennai, right? And that cosplay, I cosplayed as Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. That cosplay was entirely funded by Art Nemesis. That cosplay would not be possible without them.
By the way, a big shout out to Arc Nemesis. They're doing like
Oh, yeah.
a short interview with PC Peasants. We're going to be doing a gaming cafe review. It's never been done with before. Haven't seen videos by streamers, by gamers who've done videos in gaming cafes. So that's going to happen.
Nice. Okay.
So, yeah.
I haven't been there in a while. I definitely need to go down
It's
one
really
day.
nice. The AC is really cool. That's my only.
It's
complaint.
amazing. It's I said this earlier. It's like one of the best gaming lounges I've ever been to.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Talking about cosplay profession. So I did a couple of things. Cosplay mascot is one thing. So in the case of a cosplay mascot, a company is hiring you as a cosplayer to come to their event, or it could be some activity at a mall or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're hiring you for your services. Now those services could be, I want you to cosplay a specific character and then I want you to be there for 8 hours for the entire day. And
Yikes! Eight hours is a lot.
which is essentially what we did for Daily Comic Con all 3 days, and it was pretty fun.
Really? Damn.
Uh,
Okay. I mean, I was in Delhi Comic Con for like three hours a day. Like I went for I think I went for the first 2 days, and
mm.
yeah, like it was getting warm after a while. It
Oh
wasn't that
yeah.
cold.
Oh yeah. The weather was so weird. Like first
Yeah.
day was I felt pretty cold, and then Saturday, Sunday it got a lot warmer around the I guess around the noon or afternoon time, and then it got worse around evening. So I was like,
Yeah, evenings
oh
were
well.
really like unbearable. That's really hard work. Like that's really hard work.
It's
You so
it's
you feel like you feel like you. I don't want to ask you obviously, how
no,
much,
it's
but
okay.
like do you feel like you were compensated in
Oh yes,
properly?
absolutely. Manga Planet India gig was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Arc Nemesis was also good. Just it's not necessarily just compensation. It's just the way you're treated, the way you feel like you're part of the project, you're part of the event,
Mm-hmm.
and getting to interact with people and stuff like that. I think the other misconception a lot of people seem to have about cosplay, it's a lot more like when you're being hired as a cosplayer, it gets likened to being a mascot, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And I would say the difference with that is that, as a cosplayer, you're doing a lot more interacting,
yeah.
a lot more talking with people. You're also promoting the product that you are also well aware about
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So taking the Manga Planet example, I've read the manga, The Golden Age of Decadence. It's a completely original manga that was made in Japan, and it was localized for the world, and we were essentially the brand ambassadors
Mm-hmm.
for that manga. We were the literally the first cosplayers for that manga
Wow,
title.
that's a really big
So
deal. How did how did Indian cosplayers manage to get that kind of a deal? Like
I
that's
have no idea.
yeah, I mean that
I
is
think
unheard of, right? Or
uh
am I reacting, overreacting?
well, it helps that a lot of people within the community, just like how I know people within the the gaming community or the game industry, and
Mm-hmm.
this it's one of the reasons I've been still a part of games, even though I have like no college degree and no no uh I didn't graduate from a gaming institute or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. But I managed to stay within games because I knew people from games, and they taught me, they trained me. I had a lot of mentors. Similar to cosplay, like I knew people within the industry, within the community, I should say, actually, because I don't generally, when associating cosplay in India, I don't think of the industry. I just think of people, the community itself.
Mm-hmm.
And these people, Rachita Saha, they have it's a pop culture agency. It's called
Yeah.
Super Sugoi. You can check them out on Facebook. So they were the ones who actually approached, or rather, Manga Planet India collaborated with them to get cosplayers for their event, for their manga launch. It was two mangas. One was Golden Age,
Uh,
which
the
I
other
had
one
cosplayed
was
from.
after school, right?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Which Niha and Tanzim had
Mm-hmm.
cosplayed from. So, and yeah, I've never had that sort of opportunity before, and it felt very, very exciting. So, but the thing is, was the experience good for me, and did it pay off? Absolutely. Is that something that could sustain you for like a couple of months at a time? Not really.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean to say by that is a lot of these cosplay opportunities usually arise around the time of these events towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
So even for Comic Con India, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the events, four events, city events that are happening back to back in a span of 3 months, which is quite insane when you think about it. Like, forget cosplayers. I mean, just even vendors, people who
Mm-hmm.
are getting stall space.
Yeah, yeah.
They have to like just sort of like
Just
run
overworked those few months, right? Yeah.
exactly. So around that time, I see potential like people getting hired for cosplays and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other possibility is just organizing cosplay events.
Mm-hmm.
This could be at locations like it could be at a mall, or it could be some for some other competitor. So I was the cosplay community manager for IGX last year.
Right.
That was an entirely it was a paid gig.
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to be a part of the project because I want more and more people in gaming to know more about cosplay, and I want more cosplayers to get into gaming as
Gaming.
well and
Yeah.
take up gaming cosplay.
Do you
So
think?
it works both ways for
Yeah.
me.
Do you think both industries like they can help each other? Like if the gaming
Oh,
industry can
definitely.
promote cosplay, cosplay can promote gaming. Like
Definitely, but it when you say that, are you saying like in general, or do you mean like in India?
no, I'm talking about in India specifically. Because the thing is, see,
Okay.
we've just suddenly started having gaming companies like, for example, these headsets from HyperX, and I'm a small
Okay.
channel, and they're supporting my channel. They're giving me a lot. They're financially supporting me as well. It's not
Right.
just freebies, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of these gaming companies hold launch events. For example, the Alpha, this headset had a launch
Right.
event in Bangalore, and
Right.
you've done Genji, you've done Sephiroth, you've done Dante from Devil May Cry. Every gamer who's worth anything knows about Devil May Cry, and so if maybe you guys could sort of reach out to these companies who are having these gaming events and make cosplay like, but it has to be gaming cosplay.
Sure.
It can't be
So
manga.
I've had some very mixed experience with that,
Okay.
and this ties into another thing about cosplaying professionally. Time is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that a gaming launch you would only come to know like maybe just in a few weeks in advance, or if you're lucky maybe like two months in advance, which
Yeah.
is generally not the case in
Mm-hmm.
my experience. And the problem with that is a cosplayer, because a lot of us who are cosplaying right now, for most of it, even for me, it's a hobby first,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of us may not be ready to actually cosplay at any given time. If it's an event like Comic-Con, we'll know like 6 months in advance.
Okay.
But if it's like an event that's coming up like literally in the next 2 to 3 weeks, then you need to take time to prep your cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
You need to work out the financials. A lot of cosplayers are not aware of the fact that asking for an advance is really important, and you should not skimp on it.
Yeah.
I think, actually, that also ties into a bigger thing, is that cosplayers themselves don't know how to work
Mm-hmm.
professionally in India right now, because there's no really set standard per se.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, you guys are going to be setting the standards. You, Neha, I mean, you guys are shaping the cosplay industry. You guys should, hold workshops and tell people, listen, this is how you charge. This is how you ask for money. You guys need to set the standards in so that, like, when
so
a gaming
it's a
company approaches
little.
me, I know what to say.
Sure, but okay. So taking that as an example, right? Let's say, how do I convince a person, and give me some gaming company name, Red Gear, since I'm wearing one of the headsets. So how do I convince a person from Red Gear that I need to spend 30,000 rupees on this cosplay for your event? And that's not let's say I have the cosplay and everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do I justify then that I need to be in costume, and I need to take breaks, and standing and being in cosplay for like 6 to 8 hours will be a lot of stress for me, and it'll take a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time for me. And
I think you should just shoot them a mail, and just say like, yo, cause like I keep getting these offers from gaming companies to like
really?
make videos,
Okay.
and it's
Okay.
just something that happens. I think once you establish yourself as a content creator, or as a maybe as a cosplayer, people will start reaching
Okay.
out to you, and I
Okay.
have I don't work for free. I
Of
just
course.
like the one thing
You
that
should not.
I keep getting. They ask me to make videos, and I'm just like, listen, if I'm going to be editing a video, your promotion is not going to cut it. I'm
Sure.
gonna have to need money. I'm gonna need to be paid for this. So
Okay.
you have a rate card. I have some sort of an idea, and I have this idea because
Right.
I've worked in advertising, and there are rules in advertising. There are industry practices, and I understand gaming doesn't have industry practices, which is why if you look at esports, a lot of esports talent don't get paid on time. They don't get paid well. It's happening. Like I'm not.
I
It's
might have heard something about that.
Yeah, I'm not taking any specific event because I think we've heard of different. I've got some insider information from different
Right. Right. Right.
events, but over the last couple of years, program organizers do not pay their talent on time, and it's happening a lot, and it's going to sort of leak into cosplaying eventually.
I would honestly, I would say we're already there.
Damn it!
And it's because, and I'll tell you why. It is because of what you just said, of what's happening in gaming right now. Because that is just how we have been dealing with with esports, or rather gaming events in general in India. Not to name any names or anything like this
Yeah, yeah.
right now, but even for someone who I worked with last year, who we discussed and talked about, these cosplayers, they participate for their event, and they even though that they agreed to be at the event for no advance whatsoever, they worked the event for 6 hours or whatever, for whatever set amount of time. And it was agreed that they would get paid 30 days after your event. Keep in mind, they've already spent the money that they had to, to even just be a part of the event or whatever.
Right, right.
Right. So, they're already in loss at that point. And then 30 days after the fact, they're not paid on time. And this could not, this could lead into stuff like prize money. It has happened with a lot of gaming events, and especially events I have been part of. I have been guilty of stuff like this, that I'm just not able to pay or get the cosplayers their prize money, because it's not within my hands, not within my control. And I have to play follow up with these companies and ask them, like, what's happening? It's been 60 days. Can we pay these cosplayers? Can we give them the award that we promised? That the fact that you take someone prominent like Neha, and you're using, you would understand this because you're in marketing, you're using her image to promote an event, right? That adds value to your event, whether you realize it or not. Me saying that I'm part of your event, I will be promoting primarily to cosplayers, and that is the reason you're getting cosplayers for your event. And so to turn around and tell them that, even though we had discussed about paying you at this time, we're just gonna have to wait until things are sorted out later. And that, for most of us, that just doesn't cut it. So
I think
it's a
I think we need
sorry, go ahead.
I think we need a cosplayer strike. Like, I think we need to.
Most of us have day jobs anyway, so it's not something that we dwell on for too long. So this is also one of the reasons I don't pursue it professionally. Not because I'm not saying for myself not getting paid on time. I'm saying for all the other cosplayers. That I'm getting cosplayer for events. I'm getting people commission work. I'm getting people to rent wigs and stuff like that. And if those cosplayers end up having a bad experience because of the event organizers, or if I'm not one of those event organizers, then it just, in general, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. That's not to say cosplayers themselves, like completely flawless in that regard. I think because of how young our community is, a lot of them just don't know how to deal with these problems, or they don't think to ask for an advance, or they don't think to follow up with someone after the competition is over. There are people who I knew that didn't hear anything for 3 months, and I came to know about it later. Because they did not inform me. The organizers did not inform me. They told me that, hey, it's been 3 months. When are these guys going to give me the prize money? I'm like, why did you not tell me this a month ago? So
I mean, this is,
there's no standard.
As one of my mods just said, welcome to India. Nobody gets paid on time. it's in every industry, actually.
You've hit the jackpot, basically. But that's okay. Like I said earlier, it's cosplaying for us is like not an industry first. It's all community first, and I think it's just good. I think there's also perception, this idea that you don't necessarily have to cosplay to make money from it. You could just be you as a personality. I feel like people are not just following Neha just for her cosplay. She is also a really good Twitch streamer, and I actually went on to one of her streams, and I think we were goofing around in Overwatch, and I was doing voices for Soldier 76 and stuff like that. And that was like just a generally fun time. That didn't have anything to do with us cosplaying per se. I mean, we were dressed up. She was wearing the diva wig and stuff like that, but that wasn't like me being in a armor cosplaying and having to play Overwatch.
Wait, Neha streams with her costume on. I don't think I've seen this. I saw the early years of Neha, but I don't know if she was cosplaying then. But I've never seen
that time when we did it last year. I think it was last May or June. It was definitely last May. So she cosplayed as Diva. She didn't do the full thing, the full bodysuit and everything, and I just did like a Soldier 76 thing.
I really loved your Genji and your
thank you.
Like, I think I liked your Genji a little bit more. How did you do you mind talking about like how you went through that, making that?
Sure. So there's a long story for this, so I don't know where to start. But I had a plan. This was, when did Overwatch come out? 2016.
Yeah.
So I had a plan to cosplay Raiden from Metal Gear Rising. And then my wife, that in that same year, like I think around the same time when Overwatch came out, she's like, you know what? I'm gonna cosplay Mercy. and it was her first cosplay. She knows I've been in cosplaying for a while, and she's supported me many times. But this was the first time where a game has like genuinely got her excited to cosplay a character, and I was pretty happy. And then the conversation came up. We should cosplay from Overwatch together. And I'm like, God damn it. So,
Yeah,
so
and
long
I
story.
think everybody knows the Genji Mercy meme, right? Where he meets.
Yeah. These guys like it was practically invented before we even played Overwatch. But it was we did it because we liked the characters. There was no like we weren't trying to fulfill like anyone's expectations because of the Overwatch meme. I mean that I think just the best thing out of that entire experience was I got to do my first armor cosplay. I had not done an armor cosplay before that.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually.
What you had done
And
Dante? You had done was Reaper after Genji or before?
Reaper was last year at IGX,
Okay.
which was actually a gift from my friend Anand.
Wow.
So he actually wanted to cosplay Reaper. During that year, I did Genji, but unfortunately, he got really caught up and he could not do it. So I think last September or August, he just gave me the cosplay, and I was really grateful for it. And even though there were a couple of things I had to make some slight modifications and stuff like that, it was nice. I don't know when I'll cosplay Reaper again, and I'm still upset I can't do the
I
Reaper
think you need to
voice.
get in touch with Nvidia and like when they have their GeForce Cup, like they like you
Hmm.
need to like sit there. Or, I don't know, like Gamer Connect's happening in Pune in on the 21st, so I
Of
can.
this month.
Yes, this month. Yes. So
Oh
if,
wow, okay. I won't be available.
yeah.
Sorry. But that's the thing. Like I don't even like even though I know people from Nvidia. I know this guy, right? Aman
Ishan.
Biswas, right?
I'm on this
So
was.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
even Ishan. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you know
So
Ishan.
yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, I did have some conversation with Ishan last year about cosplay, but he told me at the time Nvidia was just not really focused on cosplay. I believe I don't remember the exact conversation we had, but he's at that time Nvidia just didn't feel like cosplay and it added any sort of value to the event, which I can understand. Because if you're cosplaying a specific character like from Overwatch, and if that's not the game everyone's really excited about, what's the game that most people are excited about right now? PUBG,
Counter Strike,
Counter Strike,
and I think
exactly.
and I
So
think I can cosplay as a Counter Strike like player
oh,
because I already
definitely,
have the SWAT, like I have the
yeah, you
armor
should
and
just
everything. It's very
just don't do that at a
easy.
mall.
Yeah, just it's India. They'll just think I'm part of security.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, coming back to Genji, you were saying.
Sure. So basically, the basic breakdown was I had Ankit. He's from Jaipur, and he was the one who worked on Genji for me. So he had the 3D model available. We have this 3D software called Pepakura.
Okay.
So using the 3D model, it's possible to get the shapes and patterns of that model and then put it on a plain surface, on like a flat 2D surface, print those shapes out, and then
You're
essentially you
talking
can
about unwrapping the model, basically, right?
unwrapping the model. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So taking that model, unwrapping it, and then
Mhm.
and then printing it, the patterns on an A4 sheet or any kind of sheet really, and then just cutting those patterns out, tracing those on the foam
Foam.
material, the EVA foam.
Mhm.
So you can essentially cut these shapes out, and then you're essentially just sticking them back together. You're folding them and bending them
Mhm.
into the shapes that they were originally part of,
So how does it
and
work?
that
How do you keep like you like shoulder pads? They're curved, right? So
right.
how do you keep it in that shape? How
It's
does the
it's a
fold?
you essentially so Peppercore does simplify things a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but essentially if you're not already used to 3D modeling or don't have some experience with 3D modeling, it can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
The other option simply is just get the Peppercore files yourself
Okay.
online. So you'll have other cosplayers who have already done that work. At that time, I don't think that anyone had it for Genji, and that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing you have to account for, especially when you're unwrapping, is that you also have to account for the size. It's not a complete one-to-one ratio. The
Mm-hmm.
3D model and then getting it printed on shapes that actually that are more suited to your size,
Mm-hmm.
to your height, right? So we took those measurements, and then based on that, we made predictions on what the size of those patterns would be, get
Insane.
those patterns
Mm-hmm.
printed, get those cut out, traced on the eBay foam, and then we basically just took a heat gun and then started like folding the shapes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Ankit basically did the bulk of that work.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean
aside
predicting in-game sizes from to real life sizes is that's going to be trial and error, right? You would have wasted a lot of
It
foam.
is a little bit. We did have to redo some stuff for Genji. The problem was I had actually given him my measurements. So he didn't size me up when I was in Jaipur. As in, I'd
Okay.
never been to Jaipur, so I
Mm-hmm.
can only give him the measurements, and then based on that, he has to see if the model will fit me or not,
Right, right.
or I fit into the model. And I think based on by the time he came for Bangalore Comic Con 2016, he was checking the shapes, and I think it was either the arms and the some part of the chest piece. I don't remember which one now,
Mm-hmm.
but they were not fitting me. He even had to redo the helmet. He was not happy with the first helmet, so he had to redo the Genji helmet as well, the front faceplate.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we did waste quite a bit of time and stuff like that. I don't know if you noticed in the Genji shots, but the back, this thing,
Mm-hmm.
the holster. I'm forgetting the sword name, the Sakaban or something. It's not there actually because we didn't finish it on time.
Do you
So
lose
that's another thing
points?
about
Do you lose points for like missing out details? Like if the judges sort of
in
know?
competitions, yes.
Okay.
But I'll be absolutely frank. I don't do any of these cosplays for any sort of competitions. I just do it for
Just for
myself.
fun.
So
So did you like pay him something? Was
oh
it?
yeah. The total cost at that time, I believe. So in total, everything for Genji, including the material, not just the EVA foam, but also whatever we had to get for the visor and all that,
Mm-hmm.
which were acrylic sheets and the paints. I think in total we spent about 35 to 40,000 on that cosplay. You
Jesus,
know, and
35K.
I mean, obviously, if you're doing it yourself, it'll be a lot cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah.
But even then, you're not accounting for the time you're spending unwrapping the model. You're not accounting time for getting the material or
Mm-hmm.
traveling or stuff like that. Even something as basic as transport.
Mm-hmm.
My wife broke her phone on the first day when we were going for Comic Con,
Mm-hmm.
Bangalore Comic Con day one. So as soon as all of us were ready, all of us got super excited, and all of us were wanted just like to do the Overwatch thing, and then
Yeah.
her phone breaks. And then,
Damn.
like, well, we'll worry about it when we get back. So that was. I'll share you. I'll share you that story. My brother, who does articles for Red Bull, he wrote a story about my wife, who it was basically our Overwatch cosplay journey,
Mm-hmm.
and it was pretty cool.
So, guys, you want to ask any questions to Vijay? Because right now we'll just field some questions. So, if you guys have any questions about cosplaying, how to get into cosplaying, what he plans to cosplay as later this year, we're gonna like wait for some questions while I even
Cool.
have a sip of water. Is this the first time you're doing a podcast like this, Vijay? Like where you've talked
Yep.
about? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever, other than at events, interviews and stuff like that. I don't think I've ever done like a podcast on cosplay ever.
Yeah, that's because nobody has. Like we need to have more of these. Okay, we need to have more like just discussions. All kids want these days is just PUBG Mobile. That's all they want.
We need a new hashtag.
Yeah.
Hashtag PC Peasants
Okay.
first.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be great. All right, Atrium has a question.
Hmm.
And so does Azula. Let's go with Azula first. Azula551 asks, "Hey Sampad here. What are you doing? When are you doing that Soul Calibur cosplay?"
Oh, so Soul Calibur. So for those who don't know, Soul Calibur is an upcoming fighting game. It's a fighting game series
Series,
from
yeah.
Namco.
Mm-hmm.
It's entire. It's so uh, Tekken is also done by Namco, and Soul Calibur is just basically a weapons-based fighting game. It's the same idea. You're in a 3D plane and you're moving around, but you have weapons and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's been there. It's one of my all-time favorite games. I played a lot of Soul Calibur 1 on the Dreamcast. It's one of my all-time favorite fighting game series. So one of my dream cosplays this year was to work on Siegfried from Soul Calibur 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when exactly I'll be doing it. I'm hoping around IGX time. And the reason for that is the person who's working on the cosplay. I've commissioned Surya, the same guy who worked on the props for Art Nemesis. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm having him work on the armor. and he's taken my measurements. He was actually here a couple of weeks back for an event, and measurements are done and everything. But I still have to come down to Bombay. I will actually probably most likely come down sometime this month, end of April, and we'll see if those measurements, based on whatever patterns he has, he'll make the armor, basic armor base shapes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll check and do some test fitting, and then based on that, we'll see how much time it'll take to actually make the cosplay. But it's gonna be mostly end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping. I don't know when IGX 2018 is, but hopefully before December.
When is it? Where is it happening? IGX
I
2018.
don't know actually.
Okay.
I
It's not.
don't.
It's not
They have
always
not.
the same city.
It's no. It generally speaking, it is always Bombay.
Okay.
There is a chance it might be in other future cities, but at this time I can't really say.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely some discussions going on right now. I just mostly take care of the cosplay part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as IGX, I'm hoping sometime in November it'll be there and in Bombay, and I will have free break.
Nice, nice. Azula also asks, also where is Fufu in the podcast? And sad smiley.
So I don't know if you guys can see, but this is basically our soundproof room at the office here in Holy Cow Productions.
I
We're
hope
based
I hope
in
it's air
Bangalore.
conditioned, right? You're not.
Oh yeah, we have like a AC
All
right
right.
above.
Okay. Perfect.
So these guys thought of everything, but we just don't use the soundproof room. So I'm making great strides here, and I'm only half kidding.
Yeah.
But Fufu is somewhere at home doing something, and I don't know. My brother, if he's watching right now, he can give us a live update. But at this moment, I'm really happy he's not here. Otherwise, this podcast would not get done.
I have 3 dogs. I know what you're talking about. Atrium has a question. He asks, have you cosplayed characters from Death Note ever?
Oh no, sorry, nothing from Death Note. I when I cosplayed Baudelaire last year from the Golden Age of Decadence, he
Mm.
has a very light Yagami
Yeah.
look to him.
Yeah.
But it's totally not from Death Note. It could be, but it's totally not from Death Note.
I think
It's from the.
I mean I know that was a paid gig, but I think if you hit Naruto, Bleach, and Death Note, you've or One
Mhm.
Piece, like you'll have people like high fiving you in the crowds, you know.
I had people like that at the event last year as well, but I think a lot of the people, even if they were into anime and stuff like that, they still had no idea that it was from an original manga, which is fine. I think like one of the cool things about cosplaying, this was especially the case when I did Genji at Bangalore Comic Con.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't know Overwatch, and that's fine. Because
Mhm.
one of the things about cosplay is that you are also introducing the game to them, even though they're
Yeah.
not seeing the game, they're just seeing the characters.
Mhm.
So a lot of people actually asked me, is like, hey, where is this from? It's like, oh, it's from a game. It's called Overwatch. You should totally check it out and give Blizzard your money. I'm not paid for this. So
Yeah, we need some.
even my office,
Huh.
the last major Blizzard sale that was there, I think, for Overwatch. So everyone just started buying the game now, and now we're all playing in office right now. So
Because of
yeah.
you were sort of like an influencer.
I would like to say it's because of me. They probably might say like otherwise, but it's totally because of me.
All right, let's go to the next question. Rat says only guy I know who goes into character when cosplaying. His cosplay in Jappa Haba 2017 was the only one in character, and he cosplayed as the badass cop from Gintama. All right, do you know Rats by any chance? Have you ever
Yeah,
met?
Ratul. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ratul. All right. I didn't know cosplay in India was a thing, to be honest. Well, good. This podcast is a huge success. As far as I'm concerned, this is a huge success. Like I knew about Comic Con, but I thought peeps just did it randomly. No, I mean you guys are organized, right? You guys are pretty organized.
Oh, I am pretty disorganized when it comes to cosplay. But
No, the
as far as
community, you know, yeah.
we are probably the most disorganized organized group you can probably find on Facebook. But and what I mean by that is all of us are really interested in cosplay, and all of us want to get together and do stuff.
Hmm.
But we have day jobs. We're
Yeah.
either too lazy or it's too much effort, or we'll just wait till Comic Con and do everything on the last day. So
But
one of
I've
those.
seen so many collaborations that where you've like the Final Fantasy 15 one, uh, where you play the picture with where you're Noctis. Is it?
Oh, right. Yeah, collaboration. Did I do something with Noctis?
Yeah, you did. I have it in my slideshow right now. It's
That's what really? I have
yeah.
to let me just switch to YouTube right now and see what that's from. I'm seeing Reaper right now, so I have no idea.
No, there's a bit of a lag, but yeah, you did
All right.
you're like doing like this heart, and you're like behind her, and she's sitting at like a coffee table, and she's in white,
Oh yeah, okay.
and her face is white.
That's
Gorilla,
Gorilla
gorilla, yeah,
from Pune.
yeah,
Actually, I think she's in Bombay right now.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's actually stitched the costume herself, and she also did my makeup, my
Oh, okay.
cosplay makeup, and the
Wow.
wig style and everything. She's a really good cosplayer.
Yeah, so
You
I
guys
mean,
should check out her work.
I saw the collaboration, so I just figured it's this one right now. By the way, this is the one. Uh,
Okay.
I thought like you guys were a lot more like organized. You guys were doing collaborations because YouTube India, we're not that organized. We barely do
Really?
collaborations. Yeah, yeah, we're not, but we have no idea what we're doing.
Oh,
And you guys
okay.
seemed a
So
lot more closely knit. That's why. Like,
I think ICC definitely helps in that. And but it's because I know a lot of these people as friends, and
mm-hmm.
it helps that ICC has introduced me to a lot of people into cosplay. Specifically the Noctis thing, Noctis and Luna. So what do you call it? Japan Hubba, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was last year, I guess. Last Japan Hubba, we had, because so many people were coming down from other places. She came down from Bombay, sorry, Pune for the event, and we were like, hey, why don't we do a cosplay shoot together at some cafe or something? I'll even ask for permission.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think that was on a Monday or something,
Okay.
where I had like taken time off. So it was nice in the sense that around that time, around either Comic-Con time or any of these other smaller events, we might just get together and just do our own thing at home.
So this Japan Harbor is something that happens frequently, or is it like
Yeah, once a year.
where
Once a year
I've never see
in
the thing is
Bangalore,
I've never heard of these events like
because
IGX.
they don't promote it very well.
Why like I don't get
because
it.
for them cosplay is not their main draw. They're primarily a Japanese cultural event.
Yeah, but
Uh,
isn't cosplaying something that started in Japan? Isn't it at least?
it is, but so that's leaning towards pop culture side, right?
Right.
So that they have a very specific way of how they want to introduce Japanese culture to people, and
Mm-hmm.
that could be through its history, that could be through stuff like their tea ceremonies or their kimonos, what they wear, their
Mm-hmm.
fashion. Uh, Even stuff like manga and anime was kind of there. Like they had stalls that would have those things available for people to check out. But
Mm-hmm.
cosplay, for some reason, has never been like a huge focus for
How,
Japan. How about I could
how
not
what
say
was the
why.
focus on manga? Like, was it big or was it just like?
No, it's just like there was so the last Japan Hubba that was in Bangalore, they had a section. It was all used manga.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of it was basically in Japanese. So they were just giving
Mm-hmm.
them away.
Oh.
Uh,
All right,
I think
maybe that's why. I mean, I think if it's like a very manga focused event, then you'll have more cosplay focus,
maybe, yeah,
right?
yeah. But so I don't really know any of the organizers for Japan Hubba. I was hired from Manga Plan India to
Mm-hmm.
be to cosplay at their stall, and that was probably the most amount of cosplay that we had inside the venue. Most of the cosplay was happening outside the venue, for like photography and
Right,
stuff
right,
like that.
right. So, tell me about Manga Planet India. Like, who are they? I've literally never heard of these guys.
Oh, no problem. So so there's actually multiple companies involved with this, but one of the publishing companies, DNP,
Mm-hmm.
so they have a base in Delhi, and I'm forgetting who the original team members are. There's actually quite a few people involved with it right now. Uh, Shimuzu-san is there. I believe he's mostly part of the Manga Planet India team. And essentially, for their job is that they want to introduce some sort of manga in India and get people to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
How they do that, they usually generally they want to leverage a platform where other people will be there of common interest, and when the best platform for that is like Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
But as they've even though they've been around for a while, I think since the last 3 to 4, yeah, about 4 years now in India. They'll have a stall and they'll have people to check out the manga and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, again, unless it's like around Comic-Con time, I don't think you'll generally hear about those people throughout the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be for multiple reasons. Their manga that they actually started publishing, the Golden Age of Decadence and After School, were actually their first manga they put up on Amazon.
Achha.
for Kindle,
Mm-hmm.
and that ended up being one of the highest trending mangas that they had on their top 10 list, which was like, a great milestone for them. But whether that was because of India or not, I can't say. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I for them I don't know if the cosplay has actually helped them a lot in India to get people to check out the manga. But it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely like it's a lot of people have asked me about it, if like are they going to do more cosplay stuff? And the fact of the matter is they're more focused on manga right now,
Right, right.
versus just cosplaying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them doing a lot of cosplay stuff like throughout the year. Maybe just like at major events like Comic Con.
So the biggest event which clearly is promoting cosplay is Comic Con. I mean,
Yes.
these guys are hands down the biggest guys promoting it.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
tell me something like do you know anybody in the organization committee of
Yes,
Co- could you please tell
I
them
do.
to have a Comic Con in Chennai? Because like, dude, what the like we've been waiting. Okay, like I can travel to Bangalore. I'd rather not. I'd rather just have one in my own city. Cause I mean we've got Arc Nemesis, we've got a lot of LXG, we've got a lot of gaming players who will be able to get into it, but and we have a lot of streamers, and there, and
Sure.
I'm sure there's a cosplay community in Chennai
Oh yeah,
that's
there
just
is.
waiting to because I'm sure they're traveling to Hyderabad and Bangalore, so
They are.
and
They are. They we. So I don't have so I don't know where to start with this, but looking at this sort of situation, the ones that the Comic Cons that are generally doing well right now are in the cities that they're already at. So you
Mhm.
may have noticed that Pune Comic Con is not happening this year.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Why?
Uh, so I don't know the exact reason. There was an article on Animation Express that was
Mm-hmm.
put up. They had spoke to the founder Jatin Verma,
Okay.
and there seemed to be like some logistics, structural issues of having the event in Pune.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. I honestly don't know if it's for other external reasons. I have spoken to vendors about it,
Mm-hmm.
and what I've generally heard is that just the response in Pune is not as good as something as say what you get in Delhi or
Mm-hmm.
Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the top cities would probably be those cities for a lot of other participants,
It's
even sponsors.
it's the same thing. Like I asked Nvidia, like, why the hell
Hmm.
do you guys not have a Gamer Connect in Chennai? And they were like, you want a Gamer Connect in Chennai? You help us organize it. And I'm like, no, that's not the answer. I mean, I don't mind if you pay me, but that's not the answer that I'm looking for. Chennai has a huge gaming population, and I don't know about the
That's
cosplay
right.
population, but we've we'll show up, and I'm sure we'll have better foot traffic than Pune, dude. Like, come on. Like, it's just
I
that Chennai keeps getting ignored, and it's so pissing off. I can't tell you, you
so
know.
I think the other thing is with especially with Comic Con, their audience at the end of the day is not really us. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's the mainstream audience. It's the
Yeah.
people who will watch every superhero movie of the year but won't fucking pick up a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I cursed on the
No,
stream.
no, it's fine.
And but I understand ultimately what sells for them and what gets them a lot of attention is the mainstream audience. So saying
Mm-hmm.
that you're gonna have a large gaming presence, even someone like Nodwin Gaming, right? They have ESL happening at Comic Con, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who are normal attendees don't know that,
Yeah.
because for them it's a big deal. For us, if gaming is a part of Comic Con, it's not a big deal for everyone else outside that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And for Comic Con, I can't say. I'm taking like I'm shooting like completely in the dark here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I think for what they're worried about is even if all the gamers in Chennai would come for an event, that might not be enough for them or for the vendors.
Yeah, I guess the vendors also need to sell, and no, I mean like
Absolutely.
like movies like Black Panther were like sold out in Chennai. It was like
Yeah. Right.
every theater like I was packed. So I know
Nice.
for a fact that Marvel movies do really well in
Right. Right.
Chennai.
Right. Right.
So I don't know.
It would make sense, right? It would make sense to have something like if they had a Comic Con around the same time the Black Panther release, maybe that could have drawn a lot of attention. But there wasn't anything like that. I had someone from Marvel, someone from PR,
Mm-hmm.
asked me, would you be interested in cosplaying for some activity?
Mm-hmm.
And I say activity in quotes here because
Yeah.
their idea of doing a promotional event, and again, just and this is completely like like I'm I'm sort of like giving the short details of this, but
You're
they wanted to
paraphrasing.
have.
It's fine.
I'm paraphrasing
Yeah, it's
basically.
fine.
So, but you know, uh, for them having cosplayers at like a launch event or something like that is not enough for them.
Hmm.
They want to have some sort of activity that everyone can become aware about through multiple cities. And maybe that's why Comic Con also doesn't feel like having a Chennai, having a Comic Con Chennai makes sense, because maybe that's not going to bring everyone to Chennai.
Right.
Uh, I think one of the bigger draws for me for Bangalore, and I'm not just even talking about Comic Con, all our cosplay events, is we draw a lot of people from Bombay, from Chennai, from Hyderabad, sometimes Delhi as well,
Hmm.
because Comic Con, something like Comic Con, will have that pull.
Yeah.
But for every city, in the case of like something like Pune, it may not be enough. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure. It's multiple. I'm sure there are multiple factors involved. It's also probably just a lot of has to do with logistics and
Yeah, yeah.
planning.
I hope it's. I
Comic Con
hope it. I really
has
hope it's just logistics and not foot traffic, because like I've heard the foot traffic argument, and
four
wasn't
four
compelling.
back-to-back events.
Hmm.
Four back-to-back events. Okay, Bangalore Comic Con and Delhi Comic Con were 2 fucking weeks apart from each other. Okay,
Hmm.
I as a cosplayer who was hired for the event could not fathom like how the hell am I gonna go for two Comic Cons at the same time. Thankfully, there was at least that 1 week gap or whatever.
Hmm.
So it's a little crazy, and I honestly I've worked with the team. I've hosted a few of the conventions as well. I hosted about 6 of them.
Hmm.
Last one I hosted was Delhi Comic Con 2015, and they're good people, they're hardworking people, but at the end of the day, they're just that one team. You know,
Right.
I think people sort of overestimate how much Comic Con can do, or rather underestimate the fact that how small the team actually is and how much they're actually able to achieve.
Hmm.
In that span of time every year.
How small is the
Uh,
team? Like how many people?
I don't know the exact amount. I think it's about 20. I haven't been
That's pretty
I
great. I
haven't been
mean,
too.
considering Delhi Comic Con 2017, I gotta say,
Mhm.
like, 20 people running that is pretty good. I mean,
And then they have they need to also organize getting volunteers and stuff like that. Like you have like literally hundreds of volunteers
yeah.
that they have to micromanage and stuff like that. That's not accounting for all the additional stuff they have to do for vendors and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Doing like especially for like from coming from event experience, organizing events, like
Hmm.
I don't I'm not surprised in their position why they probably don't want to target more cities right now. But at some point, yeah, I would just like to see something on a much smaller scale.
Hmm.
The Indian Championship of Cosplay that they had in Delhi is
Hmm.
not a Comic Con event, per se, not by name,
Hmm.
but it's organized by Comic Con.
Okay.
But from every person I spoke to at that event, even though it's a event, just geared towards cosplay, a lot of people, their footfall was just not nearly as high, you know,
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
Comic Con, a proper Delhi Comic Con.
Right, right.
They did this at a mall. I think it was DLF Saket,
Hmm.
and they seemed to have like a good amount of space and stuff like that. But they didn't have footfall didn't seem that high for an event that was free, and there were not that many cosplayers from what I understand. I think apart from the ones competing in the championship,
Right, right.
I think they just had like 10 regular cosplayers,
Hmm.
you know so that much difference. So then what do you do? Like, what's the compromise? Do you have a smaller event in Chennai where you get a smaller or lower turnout, or do you do a proper full-fledged con which will not pan out in 2 years down the
Yeah,
line, which is what's happening
I
with
think like a test, like a dry run would be nice, just to
Mhm.
get like an idea of like what numbers we can speculate. Mahi Mama asks, please tell me this feed is available offline too. Yes, yes, you can watch this
Yes.
offline. So guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up because Vijay, of course, has work to do, and he is
I
a game
actually
designer.
I can take like 5 more minutes if you want. I have a little bit of time left right now.
All right, so
I could take one more question, or
we'll
if
just
anyone has anything.
we'll just go back to a couple of questions that people have asked. Is it
I'm
possible?
sorry if I've been continuously talking
No,
over
no, no,
people.
perfect. Like this was really enlightening. Thank you so much for doing this. By the way, like
No problem.
it was really nice to like talk about cosplay, something I've never had like a proper conversation about. Atrium asks, is it possible to cosplay Vast from Far Cry 3? Would you consider it?
Oh, would I consider it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he was like my least favorite character from that game, and I'll tell you why. because he had some of the best scenes, and he's like in total like maybe 10 minutes in that game.
Exactly. They killed him off so early. I've
They
been
killed
telling
him
you
off so
guys this.
early.
I've been I've been telling you guys this. Uh,
You know, but he
yeah.
looks really cool, and there are some friends of mine who've done like really like legit Voss cosplays.
Right.
So maybe not. I would like to like I don't know, because I've seen some of the designs from For Honor.
Hmm.
So I was just checking out some, it's like cosplays from that. Not saying I'll do a For Honor cosplay,
You
but
should.
my
You
friend Surya
you
has done a really
absolutely
nice.
should. Man,
uh,
that the Viking armor, the knight armor, they're like amazing. The samurai
right.
armor is like, I'm not a big fan, but I really like the Viking armor, the knight's armor. Azula551 asks, also yes, since we are already here, what do you finally think about the growth of the cities which generally didn't have cosplays or cosplay initially? Yeah, I guess we just talked about this, Azula. So yeah.
So like so I haven't been to a lot of those cities. There are cities who, here's the thing, right? And this is, you can make this parallel with gaming as well. We don't really know how many people are actually into cosplay.
Hmm.
You know, it's because of like social media, we're becoming more increasingly aware that hey, there are a lot of cosplayers out there. You know, or even through this podcast, you're finding out that hey, actually there are a lot of cosplayers who are there online and coming
Hmm.
for these events every year. But one thing I would like to stress on is like, you don't need an excuse to cosplay per se. Like you don't need a Comic Con to like cosplay. The most of my cosplay I do outside of Comic Con, and especially in the last year or so, I would not consider cosplaying Comic Con unless I was paid for it.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that a lot of smaller, urban areas are taking up cosplay, and they're just molding it into their own thing. I like the fact that even if it's something as a cosplay selfie, or even it's something like a costume test, or you're just showing on something you're working on like a prop.
Hmm.
I think it's great that people are doing that, and then uh, credit where credit is due. Thank God Facebook is there
No,
for us
I
cosplayers
feel
to
yeah, I feel like
interact with.
I feel like people need to really like embrace social media marketing.
Oh,
And I'm
definitely.
saying this as somebody who's been in marketing, like Facebook, Instagram. Like if you're upcoming YouTuber, cosplayer, whatever, you guys need to like concentrate on building these communities as well, so that people know that you exist and your product exists, or whatever it is that you're producing, whatever content you're producing. Um,
Even if it's like sharing within smaller groups, I think that's also like completely fine. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. Adi Noah says, "Shit, I love how this guy gets into the stream randomly, caring nothing about the podcast or cosplay, and just asks you to add him on PUBG Mobile." Guys, guys, PUBG
Yeah, can
Mobile
se- can someone
six
can someone
p.m.
send me an invite? Actually, I wouldn't mind playing it for 5 minutes and then uninstalling it because my phone can't handle it.
uh, all right. What's your favorite cosplay? Let's end with that question. What's your favorite cosplay?
Uh,
Outside cosplayer, somebody who's done like an insane job.
uh. So okay, sorry. Is the question my favorite cosplayer or
No, okay, sorry. The
my
question is, what's your favorite cosplay? Like, I don't
that
understand
I have done?
that no that you have done or that you want to do maybe in the future. That's,
Okay.
I'm
So
just tweaking the questions.
so
Yeah.
at least my personal favorite that I have done is Dante from Devil May Cry, because
Yes.
it's one of my all-time favorite games. It was one of the first cosplays that I did in that year in 2013 when I started taking cosplaying more seriously.
Yeah.
And I was never happy with the first time I did it, but I kept working on it, and a lot of people appreciate it, and that is one of the cosplays a lot of people know me for.
Right.
Second favorite is tough. I want to say Genji, but I've only cosplayed Genji once, so I'm not sure if I wanna give it to him. But just based on last year, Baudelaire from Golden Age of Decadence, because it was just a completely different experience for me. Getting to cosplay with other cosplayers and being part of the project, and making something with the creators of the manga. Even though they're not physically there at the event, just being a part of it, and saying that we cosplay for their manga was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the manga is decent too if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
if you want to check it out on Amazon, volume 1 should be
All right.
there.
It's the Golden Age of Decadence. You can get it on Amazon. Vijay, thank you so much. We are
No
out of
problem.
time. It is 4:15.
Oh
Thank
yeah, I
you.
should really get
Yeah,
going.
thank you so much for doing this. I know he's a game
Thanks a lot.
designer. We'll try to do another podcast and maybe game design and the stuff you've done with
Oh
game
yeah,
design.
sure.
Some maybe somewhere down the line. Thank you so much for
No
doing this,
problem.
man. Really appreciate it. Guys, give it up for Vijay Sinha. I will put links to a whole bunch of all the things that we've mentioned, the people who made the armor, Vijay's Facebook page, and Kinley. Like we're gonna give credit to all the photographers who've taken these pictures. I will add it to the description in post. So those of you who are watching this offline, you can click out to these photographers. Go check out other cosplay artists. Go support them. Go follow them. Go like their page and join the Facebook group, which is ICC.
Indian cosplay community.
Indian cosplay.
Community.
Indian cosplay community. Sorry, yeah. So go follow ICC. You can join the group. Even if you don't know anything about cosplay, I'm part of the group. I don't know anything about cosplay, so like now I know, but I did. Anyway, that. I guess that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Venom from PC Peasants and Vijay Sinha. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys.
Thank
in the next
you.
one. Peace.
Thanks for your time.
Bye bye.